Hi, ladies. Good evening. How is everybody doing today? Cold? Cold. It's freezing today.
It's super cold. I'm walking home from work دلوقتي الدنيا تلج.
Haven't been able to get out of like my cozy clothes all day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that before, just all of a sudden. All right. Okay. We are winding down, ladies, in terms of the educational content. So just today is very brief again. Tomorrow's also going to be very brief about superfoods and tomorrow's essential oils. Sunday's class is a deep class. So it's a pen and paper class for sure. Emotional eating is what we're going to do on Sunday. Uh, and then the week after, we will do mindful eating, and that's it. And then we only starting next week, we only have two classes a week, not every single day. So next week and the week after, one of those classes will be educational, but after that, it's just going to be Q&A. So you really maybe you've been coming in because you're coming in ready to learn something, ready to hear something new. After that, it's going to be very much your own, initiative to come in here for the Q&A classes, to come in here and ask questions about what's happening with you, to learn from listening to other people's questions. You always learn from the answers, of course, but after those two classes, I will not be teaching content per se. Maybe just closer to Ramadan, we'll talk about Ramadan preparations, how the eating will shift a bit during Ramadan and all that. But after this, ladies, if you were using the title of each session as an incentive for you to come in and learn, and you feel like you might not have that once that's gone, let's try and reframe that from now, because the Q&A sessions are going to be just as informative and just as important as the actual educational classes. So today, like I said, we're wrapping up. We're just going to talk briefly about superfoods and adaptogens, which are basically your all natural supplements. So, yesterday, the supplements that we referred to, the ones you buy, are all synthetics. So, they all try to mimic or imitate something that occurs in nature. And the two brands that I shared with you in your guide, or one of them at least, the supplements and the vitamins and minerals are actually derived from food. So they're as close as the food source as you're getting now from food, as close as it could be. When it comes to superfoods, however, and adaptogens, these are naturally occurring already in nature. These are herbs, these are plants, and we've just discovered how these herbs and plants can benefit our health. Again, they are not necessary. I would always prefer and recommend that when you're going to add a supplement in, maybe with the exception of magnesium, always start with a superfood or an adaptogen, because it's like you're taking something already created in nature. It's not created in a lab. It's not synthetic. It's 100% natural. Your body will recognize it much more easily and process it and absorb it and make use of it, uh, just as if you're eating a salad, as if you're eating a banana, as if you're eating, having your celery juice. It's that familiar to your body. And because of that, the healing powers are quite strong. So what they do, superfoods, whatever you want to call them, they call them superfoods, super supplements, is unlike the supplements you buy at the pharmacies, which are like a vitamin or a specific mineral, superfoods actually do have a bit of healing power. Unlike supplements, just go in and plug in some deficiencies you might have. But superfoods and adaptogens specifically can actually go in and support the body's healing process. Like they can pinpoint where the weakness is and support your body as you are going through the healing process. So they are incredibly powerful, incredibly safe, incredibly easy for the body to absorb. And I would say if you're going to start with any one of these superfoods, um, as women, again, with everything going on with us, everybody being really stressed out lately, I would definitely recommend ashwagandha as one of the first ones to go with because it works with the body's nervous system. It works with the body's stress response system. It can help, especially if you have an issue with higher cortisol, it will help to calm you down. It will help to bring that down. And high cortisol is a big issue with women lately. The only thing, it's not a drawback, you just have to know that with adaptogens and superfoods, but also much like supplements, they're not something that works instantly. With supplements, you have to take them for a while to refill whatever deficiency you've got, vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium. They're not going to work on the spot the day you start taking them. Usually it takes about 4 to 6 weeks. The same thing with adaptogens, but it could take even a bit longer. And with adaptogens, so like ashwagandha, or maca, you only want to do one at a time. Like with the vitamins, in theory, if you wanted to, you could go take the vitamin D and the vitamin C and the vitamin B12 and the magnesium, and that you could take all of those at the same time. Your body's already doing that every time you eat, right? So if you haven't paid attention to it yet, every time you're drinking your smoothie, every single fruit has a combination of vitamins and minerals. Every time you're having a salad, every time you're having all of those vegetables, the body can process a multitude of vitamins and minerals at the same time. With the superfoods and the adaptogens, as the name suggests, it takes the body time to take this superfood in or adaptogen in, make use of it, sort of find its way where the body's missing it and where the body's needing it. So it takes time for the body to adapt and time for the body to benefit. So with these, you would start with one only, and you would not add another one in for at least another 2 months. All right. Um, that's basically it, ladies. NG. It has to be regularly. It's not going to hit the spot in the moment of stress. It's going to build in your body gradually. So over time, you're going to find yourself having an easier, like your reactions become calmer. You're not as irritable or as agitated. So that's how you're going to see. I mean, always with stress, I have to always add this, ladies, it's not going to be a magic pill, especially with external sources of stress. You always have to work on your reaction to the sources of stress, right? You have to slowly using the thought model and then things you're going to learn in the emotional eating class, there is the mental work that has to go with that. But at least what ashwagandha does is it calms down the internal upheaval that happens. You know, it calms down the nerves, it calms down your adrenals and because they're the ones pushing cortisol. So it supports what you're doing up here inside. So, but yeah, you need to take it and be patient. You're not going to see uh, um, you know, this incredible shift in your stress levels after 1 week or even 2 weeks. It takes time. Nediman, how do I know if I have a high level of cortisol? Nediman, were you there when we did the class, the hormone class? Signs of high cortisol. The most obvious one is, let's say, before the detox, you did not do anything different in terms of what you were eating or how you were exercising. And then over time, could be a year or more, very gradually, you notice your midsection getting bigger without you really doing anything differently. That's the first clear sign of high cortisol. We call that a cortisol belly. Other signs of high cortisol could be twitching, like your eyelids twitching, anxiety, irritability, insomnia, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, inability to lose weight. So maybe you do try and change how you're eating and you're exercising because you've gained weight, and no matter what you do, you can't lose it. That's because there's cortisol continuously up there. Those are the biggest signs of high cortisol. What about sea moss? Yeah, sea moss is also a great one. That's more, yeah, it's more like a seafood. Yeah. Sorry, seafood. Superfood. That's more of a superfood. Yeah, that's something that you can take. It's not one of those things where you take it and you have to worry about it mixing with other things. You can take it right away with other things. How do you take ashwagandha? It either comes in powder form or tablet form. The powder form, the easiest way would be for you to just put a teaspoon in your morning smoothie or any of the powders in the morning with your smoothie. That's the easiest time to take anything. Whether you're taking a vitamin, with the exception of magnesium, which you probably better off taking at night. Anything else you take, specifically, it's if it's a powder, you could put it in your smoothie. Gradually, as you add in maybe more than one, it's fine to mix them. But I wouldn't go for all of them at once right away. But eventually, you could put them all in your smoothie. And then if you're taking tablets, you can take them all after you're done drinking your smoothie. But again, none of these are essential. None of them. So this is where you want to gauge yourself as you're going through the process, see what seems to be in, maybe at the end of next month, because it takes at least 2 months, 8 weeks, 10 weeks at least, because everything that's going on with all of you didn't happen overnight. It's been building for years and years and years. So it might feel like you've been doing this for a long time, but there is still a lot of journeying on this path. There's a lot of healing still to go. So I wouldn't want you to, and we always want the body to self-balance first without external help. There's nothing wrong with external help, but what if you don't need it? What if you can fortify your body within and of itself first, and then we can bring in the support as needed. When can we take them? Yes. Well, like I said, you want to wait. So even if you're still deep detoxing in another month, then you can add them in. But I want you to be able to gauge where your body's at, let's say by the middle of next month, by the end of next month. Maybe we can just put right before Ramadan as the marker to see how you're feeling. Any questions about this, ladies, or anything else? Primrose oil. So this one is supposed to help. Yeah, this is one that's supposed to help, especially with PMS and premenstrual things. It's a great one. Again, wait and see if you actually need it, especially with PMS issues, ladies. You might not have felt anything if you had your first period since the detox. You might not have felt any changes. It might be too soon, too quick. Usually, I've seen women, the really lucky ones, will see a shift in their first cycle after their first detox. The majority of women, it takes 3 or 4 periods, which means 3 or 4 months, to see a shift in the PMS symptoms, to see a shift in the heaviness of the flow, the duration of the flow, if there's cramping during the flow. And then if you have all of these, they might not all shift in the same cycle. So maybe after a couple of months, maybe the first thing you'll feel is you're not as hungry or craving sugar so much before your cycle, but it's still kind of painful. And maybe the one after that, it'll be a little bit less painful. I know it took me about 6 months to have zero symptoms around my period. Zero. No PMS, no cramps, no heavy bleeding, no ovulation pains. Some of you might have ovulation pains, which happen sort of in the middle of your cycle. So that's also something else to track, something else that also should not be happening. But that could take several cycles, ladies. Um, when can I repeat the 3 days? I did it twice now. That's up to you. You can keep doing the 3 days over and over. If you feel like you're done or you're bored or it's time to do something else, then you can choose to go to clean eating or the hybrid or to repeat the 9 days all over again. That, or you want to keep doing it. If you actually feel good doing it, you can keep doing it. There's nothing that says you can't. How long does it take? Uh, yeah, cortisol, farah, is like any hormone. And given that you are very conscious of your external stress triggers and that you're working on your external stress triggers, you're working on mitigating and dealing with your external stress triggers. Right now, the default setting of how you're eating is you're calming down the internal sources of stress. So there's always two sources of stress and things that push cortisol: internal sources of stress and external sources of stress. The internal sources are the junk food, the caffeine, the whole list of inflammatory foods that we take in. Anytime you are consuming these foods, the body tags them as dangerous, as invaders, as potentially coming in to harm your body. So the body's going to push cortisol because cortisol is the hormone that protects you. And it's going to sort of put out the fires and take care of it and make sure that you're not dealing with this. But of course, the consequence of that is you have high cortisol. So that's already being taken care of for you just by removing the whole list of inflammatory foods. So, but that does take time for the internal balance to resolve. Part of that balance is also when you haven't been eating enough natural sugars and your liver doesn't have a backup reserve of natural sugars. Anytime your liver has needed to rely on a backup of natural sugars, which you haven't had, the body has had to use cortisol instead. So now what you're doing is two things. You're getting rid of the source of the inflammation that triggers cortisol, but you're also taking in natural sugars. Your liver is slowly using some of the sugars you're eating, but then also taking some of those sugars to keep as a backup. So that is also slowly regulating that insulin cortisol response. So cortisol is not having to jump in to provide energy for you anymore because you're getting it from the natural sugars. So this takes time. External stress triggers, that's a whole different category, right? That's your relationships, that's your job, that's the people around you, that's world events, like your day-to-day routine. Do you work out or not? Do you work out too much potentially? That could be a source of stress and raising cortisol. So you have to start to, since anyway, we're working on the inside, start to pay attention to your external triggers and which of them are the ones that cause you the strongest reaction. And then use your thought model to help bring your reaction down, to help switch your perception to start with around the situation. And then we're going to take it from another angle when we work on emotional eating as well. But it does take time. Ladies, some of these things could take 6 months, could take a year. Okay. You have been very gradually reaching the point to where you're all at with your bodies. It did not develop in the last 3 months. Especially all of you who have diagnosed conditions, um, things with thyroid, reproductive issues, joint issues. These have been developing for years. So we just need to be realistic and just take a step back. That if something took years to develop, it's not going to take years, right, to reverse, but it's also not going to happen in a few weeks. So after the 21 days, what will happen? You're going to keep going. The 21 days is just how long it takes me to teach you. So the 21 days technically finishes on Sunday. That's just how long the sort of the curriculum is. That's how long it takes me to teach you what I find are the basics when it comes to reversing chronic conditions and healing. Does it mean that you stop the eating? The eating is ongoing. This is a lifestyle. If you go back to how you ate coming into the program, you're going to undo everything you've done so far, and then you're going to just take yourself back to where you were, right? Because the way you were eating before this program wasn't serving you. So why would you go back to that? So the question is, what do we do? It's not what we're doing after the 28 days, 21 days. This is an ongoing lifestyle. So if in any of you, your mind, you're thinking about that, or you're thinking that 21 days is sort of your finish line, right? That is still a dieter's mindset. If at any point you were still thinking of 9 days as the finish line, or let me just get to the 21 days and that's the finish line, or even if you think the 3 months is the finish line, then you're still looking at this as a diet, as a temporary process, Potentially doesn't even matter if it's 21 days that you're looking at it or 3 months, potentially looking at it as a quick fix, and it is not. This is very much a very gradual healing process. So after the 21 days, you're still going to be choosing to repeat the 9 days or move into clean eating or choose hybrid. That doesn't change. Reham, can we just do the juicing day alone anytime? Yes, you can do the juicing day anytime you want during the week. You can also repeat it as many times as you want, over and over. Milk thistle is a great herb that helps the liver. Yes. The other vitamins that he meant, you would have to show me the list of ingredients. I've shared with you already in the detox guide ingredients to look for on your supplements, on the container of the supplements. So there's a list of ingredients you just have to compare. If they have those ingredients, then they're toxic. If you're not sure, then snap a picture of the list of ingredients on your supplements, and I can tell you. I was taking supplements for hair fall. Okay. Yeah, so that's what happens. So show me what's in them. That's the only way to know. Show me what's in there's all sorts of formulas for hair loss. You're welcome, Farah. Riham, with the detox, I'm actually a bit calmer in my reactions compared to before, but that is so I'm not easily triggered. Yeah, see, and this is exactly what I mean by let's wait and see what the body can do on its own before we bring in all the external help. And this is amazing. And the reason that's happening, and I discussed this before, whether you remember or not, your happy hormone factory, the hormones that make you feel good and make you feel calm and get you out of your bad moods, all of those are produced in your digestive system. But that your digestive system cannot produce those happy hormones like serotonin when the digestive system is overburdened and full of toxins and deficient. As soon as we get rid of the toxicity and replenish the deficiency, the digestive system can then, as a hormone, happy hormone producing factory, it will jump start the production of those hormones, and you will start to see that you feel better. Since we've also started and working on reducing the internal cortisol triggers, so internally your cortisol has calmed down. And you will start to see yourself calmer, better mood. So this is why it's so important to give the body a chance to self-balance and self-heal first. What about raspberry leaves and elderberries? So these are great. Elderberries, I'm guessing that's what you mean, right? Raspberry leaves are very good for PMS. So those are things that you would consume sort of in the moment, like if you have PMS cramps, or elderberries if you have a runny nose or a cold. They're kind of remedies. They're not necessarily the long-term support and long-term healing. Amira, have to go. We'll catch the recording. You're welcome. Is there anything natural for hair fall? So for hair fall, one of the things you need, usually it can be a deficiency people think it's a deficiency in iron, but it can also many times be a deficiency in magnesium. That's why we always say magnesium first. Zinc, selenium, and that's what you need internally, and biotin. So those separately, those supplements, or if you find them in a natural hair supplement, those can help with hair loss. Again, you're looking at 6 months at least to see a difference. And then on top of that, you want to make sure you're not using shampoo and conditioner that are toxic that can also cause hair loss. You want to make sure your cortisol is down because high cortisol can cause hair loss. And then there's all the natural oils out there. So many different oil blends that can help. You do have to experiment with these a bit. Some of them might be, depending on your hair type, might be a bit too heavy for your hair. I remember when I started using them, for example, the instruction would be put it in your hair overnight. So I just followed the instructions, and then I realized that it was still falling out a lot. But then you see all these amazing results, and so I thought, well, let me tweak it a bit. Like obviously overnight was a bit too much for my hair. Let me just do like an hour a day, like while I'm working out or an hour before my shower. And then I was able to see better results with that. So you have the oils, you have magnesium, zinc, selenium, biotin, lowering cortisol and making sure you're not using the harmful products. Oh, Riham, don't kill me for this question. Don't worry, Riham. But what's your take on Monjaro for a couple of months to help with the weight loss while working our way? Here's what shockingly nobody's telling you about Monjaro and Ozempic is that they can cause thyroid cancer, they can cause a frozen stomach, paralyzed stomach, sorry, they can cause pancreatic cancer, they can cause osteoporosis. So I don't need to know what else they can do, right? When there's that risk. And that risk is not small. And it's coming up with so many women. And it's shocking that women are not being told this. They're just being told, here, do this, you're going to lose weight. The basics with these is that if you don't change your diet and lifestyle, like let's say you're one of the lucky ones who doesn't get the side effects, if you don't change your diet and lifestyle, and then because what are you going to do? Take these for the rest of your life? I hope not. If you don't change your diet and lifestyle, this minute you stop taking them, everything comes back. And then a big drawback for these also is muscle mass loss. I'm sure you've all seen ladies who are taking them. Okay, you see it. And there's also something called the Ozempic face. We've all seen Ozempic face and Monjaro face. It's not a good look. It's not worth it. But put all of that aside, the risks of thyroid cancer, you don't want to deal with a paralyzed stomach, ladies, right? And pancreatic cancer, those three right there. Why would anybody risk anything for any of those? Ask a cancer patient what their one wish in life is. One wish. I sleep so good now. I had insomnia for the last 10 years, but sometimes I worry that I sleep. You're sleeping well, but you're worried that you're afraid the bubble will burst. Well, that all of a sudden you're not gonna sleep well. It's too cute. Don't worry, because the worry will wake you up, right? The worry will wake you up. I know that sometimes it can seem too good to be true, 100%, right? Something you've been struggling with for years and years and years, and then all we did is just change how you eat, and then it's gone. So yeah, I think it's natural that you have this worry, like it was so easy to fix. I'm really worried that it can go back. You've had the thought, okay? You've gone through the motions of the thought. Let's put the thought aside and just continue with the healing. You're welcome. Have the same worry. Well, okay, so the only way that this can happen, ladies, is if you go back to your old habits. The simplicity of this is this. It's all about cause and effect. That's it. So you switch up the cause, you get a different effect. You keep going on the same path, and the body is always responding correctly. Always. That's why we're always listening to the body. So if the body's telling you now this is working, why would you rock the boat and risk getting a different response from your body? It's also about the consistency, keeping at it. This is maybe one of the hardest things, is the consistency and being very patient with the consistency. I sleep now. So no, I can't sleep because I'm worrying about, that's too cute. Anybody else, ladies? All right. Oh, I'm not losing weight at all. Is this normal? Oh, this is normal. Okay, so there's quite a few of you have reached out to me in emails, and I've shared quite a long explanation about this. So Inji, you can email me or tag me on the group. I probably should just put this post for everybody, and just address anybody who's not losing weight. But this is 100% normal, Inji, 100%. Anybody who's going through this, like I said, it is a rebalancing and a restructuring of all the symptoms that have either been, you've either maybe gone from one diet to the next over many, many years, right? So restricting in some way over long periods of time, whether you restricted calories or just restricted portions or did any kind of restriction. It could be a cause of caffeine withdrawal, right? The biggest cause usually typically is the body holding on to the hydration from these foods. Like I said, your liver is holding on and building its storage levels of glucose inside the liver. And in order to do that, it has to hold on. So, and there's some other reasons also. So, what I will do is put that post for everybody in the group to understand what it could be. But it's more often than not, it's simply related to the body holding on to nutrition that it's been missing, proper nutrition that it's been missing for a long time. Once it's confident that it's going to get this nutrition regularly, that this isn't just another quick fix that you're doing, then it will release the extra weight, which is usually just water. It's not fat weight. All right. Um, Maria, I gained some weight, but it's good for me. So there you are. I wasn't eating. So your body was restricted. It was missing. So now you're bringing in whatever was missing. Well, naturally, the body is going to hold on to that. Yes, I will post on the group. Okay. Remind me, ladies, please, because it's not part of the scheduled posts. Is chili allowed? Chili flakes or chili oil made by olive oil? Yes. Any flavor, naturally occurring flavor is allowed. The only issue we have with spices and flavor, you need to be careful that they don't have added sugars or they don't have added MSG. But like herbs, chili, garlic, onion, all of that, it's all good. Which email did you put the link for the supplements? That is the very first email you got on the first day of this program, the email that said save this email. It has your detox guide document. Inside that document, when you scroll down to the section on supplements, you'll find the links for the supplements. You're welcome. Yes, paprika, spices, all good. Just make sure they're as natural as possible. Ginger, ginger, you can add fresh ginger to anything, anytime. You don't have to ask about ginger. Ginger, garlic, onions, all of those, incredibly healing. Because the way that sesame oil is, seed oils in general, the way they extract the oil from the seed, they they use a process by which the oil becomes oxidizing. But when you make tahina, and they use different like hexanes and like petroleum-based oils. I'll post the process of how they do that for you too. It's not just that you take the seed and squeeze it, you know, how you do olive oil. It's a whole process that involves, you know, petroleum-based products, and then you end up with an oil that oxidizes in your blood. But when you make tahina, you just take the seeds. If you've ever seen it, you can make it at home. You just put them in your food processor and just turn on the food processor and let it blend for about 10 or 15 minutes, and that extracts the oil very naturally. So that's very safe. And the sesame seed itself is very safe. But anytime you take a seed and they extract the oil from it, that process of extraction makes the oil dangerous. Tahini is not allowed during the deep detox. No, tahini is clean eating or hybrid. After Sunday, can I move to clean eating or have to go through the hybrid cleaning? No, you can either go, if you're still doing 9-day, you either repeat 9-day or go to hybrid or go to clean eating. Like you don't have to go from 9-day to hybrid to clean eating. You can jump to either one of the two. Can we have almond butter in clean eating only? I would say, not in the morning, not before 12 p.m. It is a fat, and you don't want to be putting fats in your body first thing in the morning. As a nut, it is acidic, so it is on the acidic side. It is also a fat, so if your body is struggling with weight and you're going to add another source of fat that's not very easy to digest and might overload the liver, you might want to think about adding in almond butter. You're welcome. When can we start replacing the lemon balm with any other herbal drink? The lemon balm is a medicine. So I would say keep it going as long as possible. Again, you'll discover or feel the benefits of it the longer that you use it. If you can actually mix it with other drinks. Like I remember when I was doing a lot of um detoxing protocols with like detox professionals and stuff, and they would say, you need lemon balm and you need hibiscus and you need milk thistle and you need nettle and I was like, when do I have time to drink all these teas? It never occurred to me I could just put them all in one teacup. You know what I mean? So you can actually mix, like put lemon balm. If you feel like having another flavor, put it in with it. If you feel like having nettle or milk thistle tea as well, you can put them all together. Like herbal teas are okay to mix together and just have one mug of all the teas together in one shot. You can do that. You're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. Um, Lemon balm, ladies, العطار from the Syrian supermarkets. They have it. The brand is actually called El Attar, and the other name for it is Melissa. You can actually find it also in bulk form if you go to a regular old-fashioned attar that sells herbs by bulk, not packaged. Tell him you want Melissa, and he will have it. I put my lemon with hibiscus and yeah, exactly. Yes.
Is it called Melissa in Arabic?
Yes.
Melissa.
And if you go to an old-fashioned attar, he'll know. لما تقولي له Melissa, he'll know what you're talking about. You're welcome. All right, ladies. Everybody good? All right. I will see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place. And that's it. And then next week we have emotional eating and then just a Q&A. I will keep reminding you of this, but it's very normal and very human that you would have missed a class, whether live or replay. That's not the problem, whether you missed a class. You have plenty of time from now until the end of the program. And even if you haven't missed a class, I highly recommend going back, especially that starting next week, we only have 2 classes a week. I highly recommend you go back because learning happens through repetition. And where you are now is not where you were when we started 3 weeks ago. And nobody learns everything in the first in one shot anyway. So you might go back and find things that you missed, or just depending on where your mind was that day, you were more focused on certain parts and certain bits of information than others. So I highly, highly recommend that starting next week, especially that you have more time, that you could still dedicate this hour every day, 7 p.m., to going back and rewatching. Obviously, start with what you missed, but if you haven't, and after you've seen what you've missed, go back and rewatch all of these classes again. A fresh eye, coming from a fresh perspective, you'll have more questions, and the more questions you have, the better. So don't miss out and just think, oh, well, we're done with our daily classes. Some of you might also feel like you need the momentum, you need to stay in the motivation of this. So I also highly recommend that to keep yourself in this high energy, high motivation support to continue to watch these classes on a daily basis. All right. Yes, we do have a class tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last class of our daily sessions. So starting next week until the end of March, like until the end of Ramadan, we only have 2 classes a week, Sunday and Tuesday. So make sure I'll post the reminders like how I've been doing, but also check the events in the Facebook group for that schedule. Sunday, Tuesday until the end of March, inshallah. Okay? You're welcome, ladies. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you all again tomorrow, inshallah.